If I ate something that wasn't vegan, then I'm not worthy as a human, that I'm not good enough, that I was a bad person, essentially, because I had told myself all of this over the years that, you know, like, to be a good person, I had to not eat this food.
Hey, this is Ryan of Happy Healthy Vegan. So on my last live stream, one of our longtime viewers, Peter, asked me if I'd seen this video put out by this kind of extended family. I'd never heard their channel before, Life with Beans, and they've been vegan for a few years, and all of a sudden the mother put out this video why they're no longer vegan. So of course I want to check this out. I'm curious to see why people leave veganism, to see if there's some kind of valid argument against veganism, which I've yet to see or hear. But anyway, it's a pretty long video, like 25 odd minutes, and the first like third of the video is just her kind of describing events in their life that kind of led up to them quitting vegan, like her having trouble lactating as a pregnant mother. And anyway, I'm gonna get to the heart of the matter here, where she really shows, or tries to explain why they had to leave veganism.
So fast forward a little more, the kids start school, and this is sort of where things really change, I suppose. So at school, when there's a birthday, the birthday kid brings in a cake. And I mean, that cake isn't vegan because the family's not vegan.
All right, I think I see where this is heading, that you can't be vegan because your children can't eat non-vegan cakes at school?
But the cake isn't vegan still, it usually still has eggs. And the kids have been vegan for many years. They're like, I can't eat that. We would pack them a slice of cake if we knew that they were going to be having cake that day. It came to a point where we weren't always notified, and so sometimes they'd just come home upset that kids at school had cake and that they missed out. And so, you know, we sat the kids down and we said, you can eat the cake if you want to eat the cake, and it's okay. You know, like, you don't have to feel bad about wanting to eat the cake that's at school.
All right, this is really complicated. I mean, I can only imagine how difficult it must be as a vegan parent to try to raise young vegan children, sending them to a school that's obviously not vegan. But here's my take on the matter, that being vegan is a decision that a moral agent, you know, someone who has the capacity to understand the decision they're making. Veganism is not a diet that you have to follow and there's rules and stuff like that. No, I mean, it's a decision that you want to do, because the definition of vegan is basically someone who finds it morally wrong to harm, exploit animals for food, clothing, or any other purpose. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's get into if your children here are actually vegans in the sense they actually came to the decision. They have the capacity to understand what it means to be vegan, rather than just like following the diet that you, the adults, chose for them. I'm kind of thinking they're probably too young. And I've thought about this a lot. I've debated with friends who, who argue that you can force your whole family to become vegan. I don't know if that's quite possible. You can control what's in your home, which foods are prepared and allowed in the home. And once they're at school, like here, if your children don't have that moral conviction about being vegan, about, the immorality of harming animals needlessly for food, then they're not really vegan. They're just following the diet that you wanted them to follow. However, if the children understand what it means to be vegan and they find it morally wrong to harm animals, and I know very young children are vegan, I mean ethical, moral vegans, believe it or not. So let's assume your children are. Then if so, why are you telling them that it's okay to eat these cakes or whatever at school that have eggs in them? I mean, if you yourself as adults and the children are against cruelty and exploitation of animals, just show them some videos here you can find easily on YouTube that show the inherent cruelty built into the egg industry, particularly what happens to male chicks.
But we reassured them that it was okay, and in the end they said, okay, we'll eat the cake. And so, that was, I suppose, the end of their veganism.
Well, it sounds like after you encouraged them that it was all right, perfectly okay to eat the egg-filled cake, that they decided that they were going to do it. They got your blessing. So I guess my former assumption is right, that your kids were not vegans. They were just plant-based. They were just going along with the diet that the parents had chosen. So if this were the end of her story, I would just stop right here. But this ain't the end of her story. I would just say, hey, This is kind of like the John Venus argument. Remember when he quit being vegan like a year or two ago? One of his 3 arguments was that he didn't think his child should be vegan. Almost said his child couldn't be vegan, so therefore he himself as an adult couldn't be vegan. And this is kind of the same argument. I don't understand. If your children decide that they don't want to be vegan, they don't want to continue what you had started for them diet-wise, there's still nothing preventing you from being vegan. You're not eating the cake at school, at the birthday parties and what have you. So I'm not sure if I understand this argument that my child can't or won't be vegan, therefore I can't be vegan. You have control over what food you decide to buy, what food you want to put into your body. So anyway, let's continue on.
Just over time, I really started to feel a pull away from veganism. I started to feel like the all or nothing mentality was toxic, or at least it was having a toxic effect on me.
So she brings this up a few times, this all or nothing thing about veganism. I guess she's talking about how either you're vegan or you're not. I mean, yeah, that's the definition of veganism. You find it morally wrong to harm, exploit animals, and the way to not perpetuate that harm and exploitation is to abstain from animal products. I mean, that's it. If you believe in the moral principles, the ethical principles of veganism, these are the actions you'll take. You won't wear leather shoes. You won't consume animal products. So I'm not sure how that's all or nothing. It's just what you do. It's just by definition. If you believe the moral principles of veganism, you just don't consume animal products. And if you don't believe in the moral principles of veganism, you're not a vegan then.
I felt like it was very anxiety inducing, and I was sort of worried that that would also rub off onto the children. So I felt like having an all or nothing approach with food was, kind of setting the kids up to have a bad relationship with food, and I really didn't want to do that to them.
She's making it sound like that it's extremely difficult to be vegan and know which foods are vegan. Yes, if you buy a box of processed foods, read the ingredients. It's not really that hard. And everything else, all the produce you're buying, the fresh produce, the canned beans, things like that. I mean, those are plants right off the bat. So I'm not sure how deciding to buy exclusively plants and occasionally reading an ingredients list at the market makes one have an unhealthy relationship with food. I mean, I can just speak for ourselves here and the many hundreds of vegans I know. This is not an issue about being vegan at all.
It didn't feel like that in the beginning. It really didn't. It felt like, because we were vegetarian for years, and that never felt restrictive at all because there are always vegetarian options everywhere, and the kids never seemed interested in the alternative.
Oh, really? So in comparison to vegetarianism, which is not restrictive, veganism is restrictive? I mean, are you serious? I mean, vegetarianism is pretty much all the way there, just excluding a couple things like eggs, dairy, and maybe fish if you're having that. I mean, this is something I try to emphasize constantly on our channel, on our live streams, is that veganism is not a restrictive diet. You have the entire universe, like tens of thousands of edible plants at your disposal, and you're just not eating a few animals. How many animals do humans really eat? Like 5 or 6 when you get down to it, and a few like products like eggs and dairy. It's not a restrictive diet.
But then veganism is a whole different story, like you can't eat a lot of stuff because it's got the last ingredient on there is like milk solids or something, and then it's just automatically not vegan. You're not allowed to have it. Not
allowed to have it? Veganism isn't following a set of rules. If you truly morally believe it's wrong to harm and exploit animals, dairy cows in this case, you would not want to support and purchase and consume a product that involves all that cruelty. So I haven't been following their channel, but it sounds like to me they came to veganism for some other reasons than being moral, ethical vegans, which is fine. It's totally cool. But they were following it more as a diet with rules. And that, to me, sounds like a clear-cut example of the distinction between plant-based and vegan. If you're just doing it because there's rules or something like that, not doing it out of internal, intrinsic decisions that you're making. Because for me, I don't care if the last ingredient on a long list of ingredients for a product contains some kind of dairy product. I'm not going to have it. I want no part of that because I don't want to support cruelty. And again, it's absolutely needless. Whatever product you're considering there's a perfectly fine, healthy, delicious vegan alternative. And that's the brand I want to support.
Which is kind of easy when you go vegan at first, but then after a while and after all these things sort of start unraveling, it felt really arbitrary, I suppose.
So I'm completely confused here. You said it was easy at first to be vegan, and the longer you're doing it, it started unraveling. It should be the opposite. It should be actually easier. The longer you're vegan, the more systems you have in place, the more familiar you are with things, it becomes easier. And you're saying here it just kind of seemed arbitrary. To me, it's not arbitrary. If I know that a food contains cruelty in any way, like with some dairy product or even eating an egg in a cake, there's cruelty in there. It's not arbitrary. If you find that wrong, you're not going to want to eat it. So again, it sounds to me like this family's plant-based, and I'm not sure why at least the mother is making a video why they're no longer vegan, because any vegan would not call a decision to purchase or not purchase cruelty as arbitrary.
I started feeling like, we don't have any allergies. It doesn't really make sense to avoid things with a small amount of milk solids in it.
So even more evidence here that they're looking at veganism as some kind of dietary or health thing, which it is. It can be, it can be a really healthy diet if you want. It can help you avoid allergies. But she's saying, if we're not allergic to anything, I'm not sure why we're avoiding the dairy products. Again, more reason why I'm saying that they're plant-based and not vegan.
And same with like going out to events and things like that, like going to birthday parties, going out for dinner with people, going out family events, barbecues, lunches, and all sorts of things. Yes, you can bring your own vegan food.
So what I'm hearing now, more excuses that it's hard to go to restaurants with people, hard to go to a family barbecue. She says it's weird to bring your own food. Yeah, bring your own food. Angie and I have been doing that for years, and our family barbecues are fun. There's nothing weird or awkward about that. And going out to restaurants with your, I assume, non-vegan friends, well, you can always invite them to a vegan restaurant. It's 2021. I'm not sure where they live, but I know there's more vegan restaurants now than ever before. And if you can't find a vegan restaurant, I'm sure you can find restaurants that have well-marked vegan options. It's not that hard to use the Happy Cow app and find vegan options in your area.
And I think it also restricts you from wanting to go to things or from people wanting to invite you to things, because it just makes it tricky.
So if someone doesn't want to go out with you because you're vegan, well, that person's not a friend. It's not tricky. Like I said earlier, it's not that tricky now in 2021 to go out and find food as a vegan.
So, I feel like it had a big impact on all of our social lives, not only, like me and Ro, but the kids as well. I feel like being vegan restricted our social lives quite a lot.
Just on a personal, I haven't had anything of this sort. In fact, before the whole COVID lockdown, I was complaining to Angie, gee, we're just so busy socially now. I wish I could just take a break for a few months. Well, that was a little bit longer than that.
And so all of these little reasons sort of came together, making sort of one big feeling inside of me, and that feeling was that I felt like the restrictions of veganism was sort of causing a lot of stress for me. And not only that, but some mental health issues, making me feel like if I ate something that wasn't vegan, then I'm not worthy as a human, that I'm not good enough, that I was a bad person, essentially, because I had told myself all of this over the years that to be a good person, I had to not eat this food.
This has nothing to do with being a good person. Nowhere in the definition of veganism it says, if you're a vegan, you're a good person. It's about having a moral stance against the cruelty and exploitation of animals. If you are truly vegan and you find it morally wrong to harm animals, you just avoid products and practices that involve animal cruelty. That's it. It has nothing to do with being a good person or a bad person. It's about not causing harm to animals. It's not about you. It's about the animals. All right, I've just been watching some of my response here, and I want to just offer a small apology. I'm usually a little bit more kind and charitable when I'm responding to these people that make why I'm no longer vegan videos. But in this case, I'm sorry I'm not quite as kind here, because I'm just kind of annoyed, as you can probably tell, because I'm just seeing a bunch of excuses. Like, I can't be vegan because my child occasionally might eat a birthday cake that has some egg in it at school. So therefore, the adult can't be vegan. That makes no sense. If your child decides that he or she doesn't want to be vegan, that's on him or her, but it has no bearing on what you do. If you find it morally wrong to harm animals, then continue being vegan and provide vegan food in the home. And yeah, you probably can't control what they're eating outside the home, and that's their choice. Like I said, it's about having moral agency. They're of age, I suppose, where they decided they don't want to be vegan. They just want to be plant-based or vegetarian. That's on them, but there's nothing about their decision that impacts your moral convictions as an adult. It makes no sense. And likewise, this whole argument about how, I can't hang out with friends, I don't go out as much, I can't go to family barbecues as easily because I'm vegan. Again, I'm just hearing excuses here. You'll find a way to make it work if you truly want to make it work, as I have. And like I said, Angie and I have plenty of fun at family events, going out with friends. It's not a problem. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna cut this here because this is getting quite long. So please comment down below and let me know what you thought about her reasons for why she couldn't be vegan, and let me know if you thought I was too harsh here, or maybe I'm judging myself too hard. Maybe I'm just fine. I don't know. I just like to not put myself out there as a toxic vegan or anything like that. So hopefully let me know I didn't come across as that. So anyway, guys, hit like, share this video, and until next time, guys, let's keep it vegan.
Fall to the ground. You've got me spinning circles, round and round again, spinning till I'm dizzy. Where will this all end?